Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Shama and today I'm gonna be covering the case of Aileen Wuornos. She is popular as America's most popular first female serial killer. And before that, if you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified every time I upload a new video. So let's get started. Before I tell you the story, let me tell you, Aileen's story was used in a lot of movies, TV shows, books, songs. She was so popular and her story. So I just wanted to let you know that. Aileen Wuornos was born in Rochester, Michigan on February 29, 1956. Her mother, Diane Wuornos, was 14 years old when she married to 16-year-old Leo Dale Pittman. They had a son first, who was born in March 1955. The couple filed divorce 2 months before Aileen's birth, and she never got to meet her father because her father, her most of the childhood he was in prison. He was convicted of rape and attempt to murder of a 7-year-old girl. He was also diagnosed with schizophrenia. In January of 1969, he committed suicide by hanging him in his prison. In January of 1960, Diane took both Aileen and her older brother to her parents' house, means Diane's parents' house, and she left both of them in her parents' house, and she never came back to take them back. And according to the parents, even the grandparents, they also told the relatives and all that they also had no idea that she had this kind of plan. In March 1960, the grandparents legally adopted both Aileen and her brother, and by the age of 11, she began to involve in sexual activities in exchange of food, cigarette, drugs with the kids in school and also outside of the school too. Aileen and her brother's life in the grandparents' house was so awful. According to Aileen, her grandfather used to beat her because he was an alcoholic. He used to beat her and rape her throughout her childhood. He would later allow his friends to come over to his house and rape Aileen. It's really so pathetic that Aileen has to go through this kind of things. At the age of 14, Aileen got pregnant with one of her grandfather's friend, and later she was sent to a kind of association or organization where they take care of unmarried women, and after the woman gives birth to the child, they take the child and put that child in adoption. So she sent to that association, and there she gave birth to her child, and then the child was put on an adoption, and she later came back to her grandparents' house because she had nowhere to go, so she just came back to her grandparents' house. Then Aileen's grandmother died of liver failure, so she had to drop out from school. So now Aileen was staying with her grandfather and her brother in his grandparents' house, and at the age of 15, her grandfather kicked out both Aileen and her brother, and they had no way to go, but they decided to separate their path, and her brother went for his own life, and she took shelter near a wood Yeah, near a wood, and she was at night she was doing sex work for her food arrangement, and at daytime she was doing some theft and all some illegal activities too. In May of 1974, she got arrested in Colorado for firing gun while in the moving car. 1976, Aileen moved from Colorado to Florida, and there she met a 69-year-old man whose name was Lewis, and he was a young club president and he had money. I mean, he was rich, so she got married to him. She later got into a fight in a club and got arrested and sent to jail. She was also assaulting her own husband, so he later left her because of this assault and all. 1976, she got arrested for throwing a cue ball to a bartender's head. In July 1976, Eileen's brother died, and he left $10,000 of insurance money for Aileen. And once she got the money, she blew all the money in just 2 months. In May of 1981, Aileen robbed a convenience store and got arrested again, and this time she was sent for 1 year to prison. Just a couple of days after she got relieved from the jail, she again did some fraud thing, I mean, in a bank, and again she got arrested. She was always in and out from prison, and she had a big history in prison because of his frauds and robbery and all the other law breaking things, and also for assault and all also she had gone to jail. In January of 1986, Aileen went to a gay bar, and there she met a woman by the name of Tyra Moore, and she instantly fell in love with her, and later these two women, they moved together, and Tyra was actually working as a maid in a hotel, and Aileen was doing sex work to financially support both of them. I mean, she was the actual bread giver or owner of the house, and she was doing the most actually. So at first, in every assault of Aileen, Tyra was helping her kind of out of the situation, to be like being a witness and in for of Aileen. So all the time she was not even charged anymore like she was before, and later Aileen, she killed 7 people, I mean 7 men in just 12 months time period. Her first victim was a 51-year electronic store owner in Clearwater, Florida, and he was killed by her in November, and his body found in December near a wooded area. He was shot several times, and according to Aileen, he was a convicted rapist, and she killed him for self-defense. On June 1st, 1990, a 47-year-old man's body found by police, and he was shot 6 times, and police thinks that this is also Eileen's victim. I mean, it is, I think, second victim. Then police found a 40-year-old man's body, and he was shot 9 times by Aileen. His body was wrapped in an electric blanket, and his body was found when his body was so badly decomposing. So police able to found that these 3 or 4 men's killing or murder was correlated, and some of the witnesses also came forward who had seen Aileen with these people, and police kind of got the idea who it can be at that time. Eileen's next victim was a 65-year-old merchant seaman, and his body was found in Orange Spring, Florida, and his body was pretty much same condition like other victims. After killing him, Aileen took the old man's car, and then later some witnesses saw both Tyra and Aileen abandoning the car. So the police found the car, and there they got the palm print of Aileen. Her next victim would be a 50-year-old sausage salesman, and he was reported missing in July 1990, and his body found in August 1990, and he was 2 times shot on head, I think, and his body also found near a wooded area. Eileen's another victim was a retired US Air Force major. He was also a child abuse investigator and a chief police, and he was found 6 times shot in the head and torso. Eileen's last victim was a 62-year-old truck driver, and he was shot 4 times. His body was found in remote Logan Road in Dixie County. So Aileen and Tyra was driving around with one of their victims' car, and all of a sudden they got into an accident, a short small accident, and the accident actually happened in front of a house, someone's house. So I think the sound of the accident was so loud, that's why the people inside the house, they came out to see what had happened, and they saw that 2 women are outside of their house, and they are figuring out how to get out their car, because their car, I think, was dished into a hole or something. So they were figuring out there when the people came near them, and when Aileen saw those people, she got really freaked out, and she started telling Tyra, let's go, we don't need to be caught. And so they just ran out from the place, and this was not a really small thing and not a really normal thing to see. I mean, if you are got into an accident, you would never ran from that situation in a good position. I mean, they were in a healthy and a good position, there was no harm at all, so they should not ran away if that car is there. So the people of their house, they got really suspicious of them, so they called police, and police came, and they took the old description of 2 women, and they then knew that this was Aileen, and they were not sure at this time, but they knew the person who killed these 7 people, that person was inside that in this car. So they knew that this car was driven by the culprit. So once they got the names and details of both Tyra and Aileen, they started a huge campaign, a media campaign, to locate where they are and to catch them. On January 9, 1991, Aileen went to a biker bar in Florida. The bar's name was the Last Resort, and there the police able to arrest her, and then they went for searched for Tyra, but they didn't found her there. And later, after 2 days of Aileen's arrest, they found Tyra in Pennsylvania. When Aileen was asked why Tyra went to Pennsylvania, she said that they had an argument and got into a fight. So Tyra decided to leave Aileen and go back to her house. At this point, they wanted a confession out of Aileen, so they decided to trick her by using Tyra against her. So they offered Tyra immunity in the exchange of confession of Aileen, and then she said yes. So they took her and put in a motel, and they wired her phone, and she then tried to talk to Aileen and tried to put out as much information as he could, and then finally after 3 or 4 days she finally got the confession out of Aileen. So Aileen said to Tyra that those people were trying to rape her, so she had to kill them in self-defense, but still it was a confession, and police used that confession against her. And media was going crazy over Aileen's case because it was for the first time a female serial killer was found, and also Aileen was so betrayed by Tyra. I mean, she was feeling like she was betrayed by Tyra, and she was so frustrated, and yeah, she was so angry and frustrated and so sorrowful. So once Tyra betrayed Aileen, then Aileen tried to play the insanity card, and she tried to plea insanity. But psychiatrists said that she was able to stand for trial and she was completely sane. She went for so many times for trial, and every murder was treated as different trial, and that's why her trial was so long. And finally she got 6 death sentences, not just life sentences, but she got 6 death sentences. Tyra was testified against Aileen in the court. The story was keeps changing later. I mean, sometimes he would say it was a self-defense. Sometimes he would say it was a robbery gone wrong. But anyway, she got the death sentence. Her execution took place in October 9, 2002, and before her execution, she declined her last meal and went for a cup of coffee instead. And her last words I would read out to you, so that, and I don't want to mess with her words, so in court I'm gonna read that for you, and I have written that here. So her last word was, yes, I would like to just say I am sailing with the rock and I will be back like an independent state with Jesus June 6, like the movie Big Mothership and all. I will be back. So this was her last sentence. So yeah, this was Aileen's case, and she is still date so popular for her story. I mean, we don't know what actually had happened, but what we know about her childhood was everything that we learn from her, and it was only her perspective. We don't know actually she was assaulted or raped, or these all things happened with her or not. But if it is true, then it was a really sad story. I mean, she went through a lot. I mean, in childhood, when she should have her everything she should have, but at that time she was getting raped and abused, and she was fighting for food. I mean, it's a really sad story if we see in that perspective. But what she did later in her life was wrong. To kill people, no one deserved to be killed, first of all, and definitely she was going through a lot. Otherwise, not a normal person would ever do such kind of thing. But anyway, that was Aileen's story, and I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. It means a lot to me. And also feel free to subscribe to my channel if you like real crime stories and all. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Bye.